Being taken as a slave is better than being killed, no? Some things are clearly bad, no matter when they happen. But for other things, you must ask yourself, what did the culture and society of the time treat as no big deal? Only my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ is perfect, and I hope to spread his teaching to all the lands I find that don't know his name.
Wow. So glad we defunded Sesame Street for this. Hello, ladies, men, and non-binary friends. Welcome back. My name is Scully, and today we're going over the newest development in a long line of Trump finding horrific solutions to imaginary problems. We're going to look into his defunding of PBS and NPR while platforming a right-wing media provider, PragerU. Ironically, this was done through Executive Order 14290, titled Ending Taxpayer Subsidization of Biased Media. The Free Speech Party, everyone. I'd like to thank the sponsor of today's video, FlexiSpot. I've had the same bed frame since college. A simple black wire bed frame from Amazon, and let me tell you, it has seen better days. Much like me, there are things that are starting to sag and creak, and as I near 30, I'd like to invest in something a little more adult, a little more comfortable, and a little more durable. I'm very excited to be partnering with FlexiSpot. They sent me their Japanese joinery bed, and after trying it out with my beloved, I can say it is an excellent addition to our bedroom space. FlexiSpot is an amazing company. My sister actually has their standing desk. She loves it, and I love it when I come over to my parents' house to steal it from her. But when they reached out, I knew I wanted to do this partnership because of their dedication to high-quality products. Japanese joinery is a traditional woodworking method where interlocking joints hold the pieces together through tension and compression. This keeps the bed frame firm and stable, while also keeping it quiet during adult activities. The structure is tighter and more stable than typical bed frames, and it is able to resist wear and tear over time. It's secured with Velcro, which firmly keeps it in place and reduces noise. And this frame also has inward recessed legs, so your bed frame can fit snugly against the wall, providing stability and minimizing squeaks. These frames are made from an environmentally friendly resource called rubber wood, which is a hardwood that is strong, moisture resistant, and scratch resistant. And it protects it from mold, which will keep your bed frame looking fresh for years to come. You'll also find that this bed frame is much more cost effective than others of its kind, so you're getting the most of the money you're spending. We went with a simpler design because that's our style, but FlexiSpot is incredibly customizable. They have headboards, nightstands, electronic adjustable backrests, and if you go with the pillow board option, it's removable and washable, which makes it super easy to keep clean and fresh. Click the link below to experience the FlexiSpot bed frame yourself, and use my code for an instant discount. Transform your sleep with comfort, convenience, and unmatched value. Thank you, FlexiSpot. Now, back to the video. Let me give you a little bit of background. Trump put out an executive order that ended federal funding for PBS and NPR, effective immediately. His reasoning was, quote, they receive millions from taxpayers to spread radical, woke propaganda disguised as news. Mind you, PBS and NPR have a left-center bias with very high credibility and fact-checking, but Trump lying out his ass is nothing new. By the end of the month, PBS and NPR filed lawsuits against the Trump administration, claiming that the order violated the First Amendment and interferes with their editorial independence. It does. In its lawsuit, PBS relies on similar arguments, saying Trump was overstepping his authority and engaging in, quote, viewpoint discrimination because of his claim that PBS's news coverage is biased against conservatives. PBS disputes those charged assertions in the strongest possible terms. But regardless of any policy disagreements over the role of public television, our Constitution and laws forbid the president from serving as the arbiter of the content of PBS's programming, including by attempting to defund PBS. Now, don't worry, PBS and NPR, on the whole, are not going to be ruined by this. As we remember, public broadcasting is funded by viewers like you, and that is still the case. But this has already devastated local stations or stations with smaller populations in rural areas. It's clear that Trump is attacking these programs because they are the largest independent media outlet that we have. They're not beholden to government or corporate interests because that only makes up a very small portion of their funding. Trump wants to get rid of them because they have no allegiance to him. They can't be bought. That being said, 14% is still a significant cut, and it's led to PBS and NPR having to make cuts of their own. PBS announced a 21% budget reduction, with $1.1 billion in federal funding being cut over 2 years, and NPR followed similarly with their own cuts. So what is PragerU, and what the hell do they have to do with this? In short, PragerU is an alt-right nonprofit that makes propaganda videos, and has been increasingly integrated into education and curriculum across the country. In fact, the Oklahoma State Schools superintendent, Ryan Walters, recently rolled out a test test by PragerU to weed out woke teachers from out of state. Teachers from, quote, liberal states who have relocated to Oklahoma and are seeking to work there must take a controversial new assignment to be given for the first time today that, quote, keeps away woke indoctrinators, according to Oklahoma's top education official. Ryan Walters, the Oklahoma's superintendent for public instruction, told CNN that if applicants do not pass the test, they will not earn a teaching certificate to be able to teach in public schools in that state this school year. Which, by the way, this same guy, Ryan Walters, also under investigation for having naked women on his TV screen during a meeting. Not his computer, a TV screen during a meeting with other staff. This is the state superintendent. But, you know, protect the kids, right? I mean, who's more qualified than a pervert to run state schools? A fangulo. To give a better idea of what PragerU is about, this is the description on their YouTube channel. PragerU creates free educational content promoting American values. See our kids' content at PragerU Kids. Think better. Live better. Now, the word educational is doing a lot of legwork here because PragerU is, in fact, not an accredited university or educational institution. Just, you know, don't worry, we'll get into it. 404 Media reported in July that the White House, specifically the Department of Education, partnered with PragerU to unveil an exhibit in the White House's Founders Museum called, quote, The Road to Liberty, featuring some AI-generated commentary from the Founding Fathers, one of which is an AI video of John Adams, second president of the United States, saying, quote, facts don't care about your feelings. That's right. The White House and the Department of Education have partnered with an alt-right media organization to create AI slop videos that include a dead president saying, facts don't care about your feelings. The reason why people think that the White House is going to use PragerU to replace PBS, because nothing has been confirmed. But the reason why people are saying this is because, one, they're crossover in terms of programming, while PBS makes actual educational things, documentaries, you know, kids shows, all this stuff made by professionals, right? PragerU markets themselves as an educational organization, an educational media organization, making documentaries and short style videos, kids videos, things like that. So crossover in terms of programming, for one. Secondly, because of PragerU's foot in the door in the American education system already, not just through this recent partnership with the White House, but also their integration into actual schools, and because PragerU already pushes Trump's ideology and narratives. Anyway, the reason why he defunded PBS is because they didn't align with him, they were critical of him. He doesn't have that problem with something like PragerU, where they're already going to be spouting off the same shitty talking points from Twitter. And PragerU's kids programming is especially disturbing. I'm sure most of you have seen the Columbus video from earlier, but that's not the only video that they have downplaying how horrific slavery was and U.S. citizens' part that they played in that cruelty.
Okay, let's talk about what is probably the most famous and horrible Leo and Layla cartoon, the one about Frederick Douglass. The episode starts with Leo and Layla lounging on the couch. They're watching the news, and what they see is chatter about violent BLM activists advocating for police abolition.
Well, Clint, these local activists want to abolish the police. They're claiming systematic oppression and want the U.S. system torn down.
What is going on? I know.
Wanting to learn more about abolition, the two go back in time and talk to Frederick, a famous slave abolitionist. He thinks abolishing slavery is good, but that it's nevertheless essential to always work within the system.
I'm certainly not okay with slavery, but the Founding Fathers made a compromise to achieve something great. The making of the United States.
You might notice a word that's missing from this video, and that word is Civil War. And doesn't the Civil War just immediately defeat this argument entirely? PragerU talks about the beauty of working within the system and Constitution, its hatred of radical force used to achieve just ends. But ultimately, in the real world, peaceful reform, the Constitution, did not end slavery, not at all.
All right, we're going to get into the Columbus video next. This is going to be the abridged version, because if I went line by line through this, it would be its own video. Let me know if you want that. These fucking PragerU videos are horrible, but I will put myself through pain for y'all. So, you know, let me know.
I ordered my men to treat them well.
I'm sorry, Mr. Columbus, but I heard at school that you spoiled paradise and you brought slavery and murder to peaceful people. Leo, sorry. It's what I read and heard at school.
Caramba!
So, fake Columbus goes on to try and disprove this. We'll get to that in a second. Conservatives' mad dash to delegitimize public education is very blatant here. Little Timmy, or whatever the fuck his name is, talks about how he learned this in school.
Those are some accusations. The place I discovered was beautiful, but it wasn't exactly a paradise of civilization, and the native people were far from peaceful.
But you just said the Taino were peaceful.
They pretty much are. But there are other tribes who aren't. The Taino I had met had cuts and scars and bruises all over them. I asked why, and they told me about the Caribs, who are vicious, warring cannibals.
Cannibals? Like they
Eat people, see,
Whoa!
right?
The tense music change is wild here. Quick side note. Also, this is a reminder that even if a group of people does bad things, it's never okay to enslave anyone. Like, be so fucking for real. What PragerU is trying to say here is, well, the people we enslaved were cannibals, so it was totally justified. Like, no, what the
Hey, all the things that are bad in the world I come from, jealousy, lying, murder, war, it all exists in the land I just found too. But in Europe, we draw the line at things like eating people and human sacrifice. Some of the native folks from where I just left do those things regularly.
That is also not true. Cannibalism existed in Columbus's time and hundreds of years later. In fact, there is a long history of Europeans eating mummies from Egypt for various health purposes. Human sacrifices also existed as rituals in Europe since the fucking Neolithic era. The most recent one I could find, and this is from a quick Wikipedia search, so it's possible that it happened even more recently, but apparently in the 13th to 14th century, the Lithuanians and Prussians made sacrifices to their pagan gods at their sacred places. So people were still doing ritual sacrifices in Europe. So shut the fuck up. Using human sacrifices and cannibalism as this weird justification for the enslavement of black and brown people is just more white supremacy bullshit.
Yeah, but what about slavery? You didn't deny that.
Deny? No. Slavery is as old as time and has taken place in every corner of the world, even amongst the people I just left. Being taken as a slave is better than being killed, no? I don't see the problem. You said you're from 500 years in the future? How can you come here to the 15th century and judge me by your standards from the 21st century? For those in the future to look back and do this is, well, estupido.
I'm going to get into this a little later, but this justification is also bullshit and nonsensical.
Some things are clearly bad, no matter when they happen. But for other things, before you judge, you must ask yourself, what did the culture and society of the time treat as no big deal?
I don't know if you caught that, but he just said that slavery was not in the category of, quote, things that are clearly bad no matter when they happened. Not sure how that got past the first draft, but
Only my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ is perfect, and I hope to spread his teaching to all the lands I find that don't know his name.
just that last bit of Christian colonialism we love so much to finish us off. Wow. What a stinker. This fucking weird idea that conservatives have that you need to respect people that are dead, regardless of how shitty they were in life, is so fucking asinine. Why do we even have statues of Christopher Columbus? He's not even American. He's Italian. Also, the idea that Christopher Columbus's treatment of native populations was normal and tolerated is patently untrue. In fact, he was tried for his crimes against humanity back then. He was no fucking hero. And when we're talking about, like, America's very shameful history regarding slavery in particular, you need to understand, as participants in this society, in this country, what actually happened. This idea of sugarcoating history is so fucking... It's snowflake shit. It is snowflake bullshit. And you don't have to be telling kids in kindergarten about the intricacies and the horrific cruelty of slavery. Of course not. But if you're a teenager, you are old enough to learn about these things. And you have probably seen racism in action in your families, in your friend groups, with your fellow students. You are old enough to learn about what happened to slaves in this country. People their age are playing things like Call of Duty, or watching shows with violence or death or cruelty in them. Like, let's not pretend that teenagers are precious little angels that have never reckoned with the idea of violence or oppression. Like, that is a fucking fantasy. In fact, a lot of teenagers are really interested in learning about more serious topics and being taken seriously. I mean, fuck, we grew up on stories like The Hunger Games. I read that shit when I was like 12. The other part about this video that pisses me off is that there's so little actual history being discussed here. Most of this video is just damage control for Christopher Columbus. Why is this nonprofit doing PR for a dead person? What the fuck? Like, are we worried about him being canceled? Like, he's already been canceled from life. I'm not sure anything can hurt him now. And this is the thing, right? Because the Overton window has shifted to the right, and the realm of what we consider middle ground is so much more right than it was a few years ago. Like, that is a fact. But slavery is still considered, among normies, a part of our history that was horrible and unjustified. So it's unlikely that children's media like this would ever come out and say that slavery is good. It's certainly not out of the realm of possibility at this point. But for now, they do have to be subtle about it if this is the indication they're trying to make, right? These points, however subtle, are still unacceptable. Obviously, the subjugation of other humans is unacceptable. These videos are grooming children. Yeah, I'm gonna use your words now, bitch. These videos are grooming children to not take hard lines on slavery. This is grooming. This is brainwashing. Every accusation from a conservative is a fucking admission. We shouldn't be downplaying these horrible aspects of our history because then we are doomed to repeat them. Because we are told, oh, it wasn't that bad, it's not that bad. And this is exactly what we're seeing happening right now. And like, you know, I could be wrong. I feel like every country on earth has some shady past. I don't think there's a single country in our world that hasn't done some shady shit, right? But when your country is a global militant superpower like the US and operates with impunity, we've seen throughout our history, there is corruption, there is cruelty. We're seeing it right now with the US funding Israel in their assault and their genocide on Gaza. The resistance to talk negatively about the cruelties we've enacted, it's giving nationalism. It's giving there is no war in Bossing Say. It's brainwashing. It's reprogramming. And the only reason you wouldn't want the people enacting cruelties to be punished, or the reason why you want them memorialized as heroes instead of the true villains that they are, is either because, one, you believe what they did was right. Two, you would have done the same thing in their position. Three, you want to be them in this reality right now. Or some combination of all three. In which case, you are a fucking monster. It's not a complicated issue. Slavery is bad, it's not a hot take, okay? Slavery is good, makes you a criminal. Unless you're the US prison industrial complex, but that's another video. Now, whether PragerU is taking over PBS programming, right now, it doesn't really matter. When the government of the United States is partnering with an organization that is doing pro-slavery propaganda, it doesn't matter if it goes any further than that, because that in itself is unacceptable. It's disgusting. It's a fucking embarrassment. It's a delegitimization of our government and our country, and further legitimizes these batshit views that we're all claiming don't exist anymore. I talk about this in my most recent video about the Joe Rogans, the Theo Vons, the Nelk Boys of the internet. When you lift up voices in support of colonization, in support of apartheid, in support of fascism on your platform, you are either intentionally or unintentionally saying this is an idea worth listening to, when in actuality, they are not. And the real kicker is, most Americans don't want this. Public programming is one of those services that is almost universally supported. Trump is not winning anyone over by defunding PBS and NPR. He is doing this to limit access to information. He wants to control the media landscape. He wants to shift the narrative. He wants to defund and delegitimize trusted institutions. So the only ones left are his mouthpieces. And I don't want people to take this as me fear-mongering. I do think that this needs to be covered because, again, even if PBS and NPR win their lawsuits, this is still an assault on independent media. And this assault on independent media will continue. And I say this as a plea. Stay woke. As PragerU's visibility increases, because I'm sure it will after this crazy amount of media coverage on this situation, and as public broadcasting are grappling with budget cuts, the public is the only line of defense. This entire situation is about public education, it's about information access, it's about truth, and it's about equality. Stay informed, stay critical, stay woke. I have a link to support PBS in my description. Any of you who have the funds or know people that have the funds that would want to support PBS, feel free to send them this link and this video while you're at it. I put a lot of work into my videos, so commenting, sharing, subscribing, all those really good things work wonders in terms of support and allow me to continue doing what I'm doing here. For any parents, be aware of what your kids are consuming online and in school. If you're in one of those states that is partnered with PragerU, I recommend you get some other parents together who are concerned, attend your local school board meetings, and voice your concerns. Even sending an email just saying, I don't want my kids watching these videos in school. I'll leave it up to you, because I'm not a fucking parent. I do know, because a lot of people in my family are teachers, the school board is much more likely to listen to parents who are vocal about things like this than the teachers. So get mad about it. As always, I have Rwan's GoFundMe linked below. She was supposed to attend university this year, but Israel bumped her home and her school out of existence. If you don't have the funds, that's totally okay. Make sure to like and leave a comment because there's got to be someone on this godforsaken app that can give $1 or $2. If you're interested in giving money to Palestine but you don't have the funds to give, feel free to watch my D&D campaign, Westerly Academy. It's about these students at a magic school. All the ad revenue from that campaign goes directly to Palestinian families. So by literally watching D&D, you are helping the people of Palestine. Make sure to check out FlexiSpot and use my discount code in the description. Supporting my sponsors is one of the best ways to support me. Thank you so much, FlexiSpot, for sponsoring this video. And for the rest of you, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you want to hear more from me. Please take care of yourselves and each other. Bye. Very special thank you to Inside Chaos, Long Leg, Anonymous, Tiny Axes, and Robin Fellows.